take back the planet begins now.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we're going back to yet another Sonic game. So of course the focus of this channel is nostalgic content, going back to classic games and playing them for the first time ever, or fondly remembering titles that are near and dear to all of our hearts as a community. However, I wanted to open up a brand new avenue of content for this channel that I'm really excited about, and I wanted to start it with, of all games, Sonic Forces. So what I want to do is start giving certain games a second chance. Games I originally did not like at all, and seeing if with some newfound knowledge perhaps, that I may in turn like them in the year of our Lord and Savior, 2022. So the first game I targeted for this was Sonic Forces. The reason for that is this was the game that solidified my hatred of Sonic. When I played it and finished it in 2017, I went, this series is terrible, I'm out, and I went on a huge slander campaign for half a decade, and here I am now playing like 6 Sonic games in a year and kind of turning into a fan. It's really weird, but through playing all those classic Sonic games, Adventure 1, Adventure 2, Heroes, so on and so forth, modern classics if you will, like Sonic Unleashed, I've learned a bit about what makes a Sonic game good. So now I'm thinking to myself, will I hate Sonic Forces as much as I once did? Also understanding what makes a good Sonic story. Will I hate Forces as much as I once did? Well, I'm excited to answer those questions because I've played it again. And it's not that long of an adventure, so I'm not going to act like it took me that long. I did it in a couple of hours. Yes, this game is extremely short. And man, am I excited to share my thoughts. But I got my buddy Shadow with me here, and all I'm asking is, do they sell these plushes with a backpack on? Because my man is hard carrying the franchise right now between the movie that's going to come out about this man and then episode Shadow inside Sonic Forces. This man's doing it all. Give him a raise, Sega. Give him a raise. Make a game about him. Okay. With that, if you're new here, ladies and gentlemen, consider subscribing. And now, let's take a look at a complete box copy of Sonic Forces, what you'd pull off the shelves in 2017. So on the front, how could it go wrong? You've got Sonic, classic Sonic, Knuckles, you got some random dude here, you got Tails, you have Infinite, you have Metal Sonic, Eggman, everyone's here. This cannot go wrong, right? The back of the box says, join the uprising. The evil Dr. Eggman has taken control of the world. Now you must defeat iconic old villains and fight a new, powerful enemy to reclaim the world in this epic new adventure. Then it says, hit blazing speeds as modern Sonic, platform as classic Sonic, and create your custom hero and fight with powerful gadgets. So the back of the box to me screams generation vibes. A little bit of background on me and my love of a particular modern Sonic game. Sonic Generations is my heart, man. I have loved that game since the day it came out. I've replayed it a bunch of times. I adore Sonic Generations. So when they're saying, hey, there's classic Sonic, there's modern Sonic, you have those play styles there, and then you've got a new edition here with your own custom avatar, immediately generation vibes. And I'm like, this has to be great because they have the perfect template to follow and you're adding a new gameplay element to it. And now with modern technology, we can really like interweave them, right? Wrong! We'll talk about it. But of course, let's go ahead and crack it open. Disc on the right, this is about as good as you can get for a modern complete in box copy because on the left, you see my boy Shadow. He's there for Episode Shadow add-on. This is a free add-on you can get for the game right now. Rediscover 3 levels as Shadow, fight hordes of enemies as Shadow, and replay 10 modern Sonic levels as Shadow. And on the back is his control layout here if you so desire to learn how to play as him, but newsflash, everyone plays and feels the same. So that's what you get in a complete box copy of Sonic Forces, as we always do in Retro Rebound tradition. Now, let's start off with the story, and yes, I'm going to spoil this game. I imagine most of you watching this have either played it, don't care, and if you really want to play it, you can literally go play the game right now at the time you're watching it, finish it in a couple hours, and come back to this video on the same day. It is that short. So now, with that, let's talk about Sonic Forces' story. So the premise of Sonic Forces' story is actually pretty cool. Eggman has successfully taken over the world, and yeah, he's always seeking world domination, but this time, it's actually tracked through missions, and as you complete missions, you see Eggman's stranglehold on the world lessening. And what's really neat is you're going through these levels that you see are generally war-torn, and that's because there's actually a war going on, and Sonic and his friends are leading a resistance, and you, as a character, are a part of that resistance. And my God, was I reminded of the hellspawn known as Sonic Force's character creator. So yes, in this game, you can make your own avatar. This is my character here. Yes, this man looks like he's got the suds from SpongeBob, but this dude is legit. Look at him. He's like cracked out in every cutscene. This man has seen stuff. He is ready to kill at a moment's notice. Don't let him get near Dr. Eggman. Eggman will not walk out alive. So yeah, you can make your own character. You can choose a number of races. All these races have different abilities, whether it's drawing in items. You can play as a bear if you want, do more damage. You can do a number of races, mostly intangible abilities, but actually kind of a cool idea. But this was one of those things that I'm surprised got past the prototype phase, because once you start making your character, no one looks good. No one looks natural. No one looks right. Even when you try to make a hedgehog, the hedgehogs look weird that are not Sonic, and so on and so forth. So to me, I was like, let me just make a freak of nature here. So you're a part of this resistance, and the reason this resistance is necessary and Eggman has really brought the firepower out is he discovered this thing called the Phantom Ruby. And the Phantom Ruby is the source of power right now, and it's actually a refreshing change of pace that I know was introduced in Sonic Mania. I have not played Sonic Mania. I will try to right that wrong sometime this year, so please do forgive me of that misgrievance. But my introduction of it was here in Sonic Forces, and I kind of like the idea of this Phantom Ruby because to me, it's like, oh, it's not Chaos Emeralds again. In fact, it's something more powerful than that. And it's starting to feel maybe like Dragon Ball vibes, because now we're trying to like find new power levels and keep climbing the ladder where it's like Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, Ultra Instinct. What's next? Jesus Christ himself? I don't know. But point being is now we're starting to see us go from Chaos Emeralds to the Phantom Ruby. But I like the Phantom Ruby because the idea here was so good. And my God, did they miss the mark, because the story is so short they can't explore their really great ideas. That's what was so odd about this going back, is Sonic Forces is woefully short. I know I already talked about it a little bit, but looking back at when I played Sonic Adventure 1, 2, Sonic Heroes even, Sonic Heroes is like a 20+ hour game, especially when you go for the extra Chaos Emeralds. That's a game that could take you 25 hours to get to the final secret boss and really see everything through. It's crazy that nowadays Sonic is known to be this like 3 to 4 hour game series. It's become sadly really short, and it stinks because the idea behind the Phantom Ruby is not only is this the source of Infinite's power, who we'll talk about in a little bit, he's like kind of the main antagonist figure, but we'll talk about him when we get into my guy right here. But honestly, you know, when it comes to the Phantom Ruby, what's happening is Eggman's able to create copies. So you're pretty much seeing like distorted levels. There's a point in episode Shadow where Infinite actually kind of plays with Shadow's head a little bit. And I feel like that was the missed opportunity, the ability to play with expectations where like Sonic could fight Silver again, like in 06, and kind of right a wrong that was done in the past. But instead, it's just like he's using it to build an army and overwhelm the odds of the Sonic team. And you know, there's Sonic Hero vibes here as well. You see all of the teams there again, right? Like you see the Espio team, you see Team Dark again, you see the Sonic team again. Like it's amazing to see them all together. Like this was a moment here where you see a little bit of elements of everything, and it was like great to see Team Dark again together with Omega and Rouge. I was like, all right, like I'm getting Heroes vibes. And it's clear they had that opportunity, but they ran in this direction of like creating your own avatar, and your avatar can complete daily missions. What are we on, Sega? What are we on, Sonic Team? Why? This is what happens when your series lose relevance and you have to chase modern ideas to try to hook a player base. So what do they try to do? They try to create daily mission structures in Sonic. I got a trophy when I fired up this game and started recording my footage for completing daily missions, which involved changing how my avatar looked. I'm like, okay, like this is really a thing here. And it is. So as you're going around this world map, a la something like Sonic Unleashed, again, like a little vibe there, like, okay, there are missions all around the planet. This could be really cool. Certain missions will get an SOS, and that's kind of the recurrent, endless, infinite content loop there. You can go back to these missions and help people who are in need on these certain missions by just completing them again, I guess. But I just think this is a story of a lot of missed opportunities, and none bigger than Infinite. So Infinite doesn't in the main story get really any explanation at all. Like in the core main story, it's just like this guy shows up, he's way more powerful than Sonic. In fact, he beats him up so much that in the beginning of the game, they think that Sonic's dead. Kind of this, I'm predicting it now, Gotham Knights vibe, where it's like, the Batman is dead. It's like, I don't know about that. I want to believe, because that would be cool and bold for the game to do, but I feel like the man may show up. It's a Batman style game. Come on now. But anyway, back on topic here. Sonic gets beat up. He's apparently dead. He's really not, of course. They trap him up in the death egg because Eggman, like the moron he is, he's like, I want you to see this all go down. And, you know, I've been chasing you down for decades and I'm finally about to kill you, but I'm going to hold on to you a little bit longer to really make it worth the while. I guess it kind of sort of makes sense. But anyway, Infinite body Sonic. And now we're trying to figure out the source of his power. It turns out it's the Phantom Ruby. And what happens is when Sonic eventually beats Infinite, he's telling him, you know, even though Infinite's so powerful, you get more Sonic hero vibes here, right? Like Metal Sonic's wondering why he couldn't beat Sonic. And it's like, well, Sonic's the real Sonic and he's powered by his friends. And he kind of drops a similar line to Infinite again, like, I beat you because of friendship. And Infinite gets absorbed into the Death Egg robot, and Eggman, instead, he could literally make anything with the Phantom Ruby, right? He's making copies of his army. He could use this infinite power for anything, and he instead uses it to make another robot that's got like slow swinging hands. It's like, all right, dude, like you're just a terrible villain at this point. And it's a real shame because they're just not getting creative with what Eggman can be. A little more menacing, possibly. But yeah, Infinite's wholly wasted in this game. And when he's about to realize a more human element of himself, yeah, he pretty much dies. And he's in the Phantom Ruby, which is being used here for Eggman. And I think that's the end of his story. Perhaps, you know, there could be something we see in Frontiers. We'll see if that continues on at all, because there are callbacks to previous Sonic games, even in this one. Like when they see classic Sonic, they're like, oh, you're the Sonic from the other dimension. Clearly, I'd say referencing something like Sonic Generations, but although there's a gap of Sonic games I missed, like I don't know what in the world happened, like Sonic Boom or so on and so forth. Maybe I don't want to know that type of stuff. But yeah. So Infinite was kind of wasted potential there, but where there's a little scrap of hope there is my man doing it again. Get him the backpack accessory because this dude's hard carry. In Episode Shadow, 3 levels can take you 15 minutes to beat. But in those 15 minutes, you learn pretty much it's this dude's fault that this all happened. Because this man's such a Chad and he beat the hell out of everyone that now Infinite, feeling weak, has gone out on a revenge tour and has terrorized the entire world because this dude is too dang good. I love that stuff because, again, Shadow is the most compelling character in the franchise. Change my mind. So yeah, in Episode Shadow, you learn that while Shadow is pretty much attacking an Eggman facility as this sort of anti-hero, that he beat up Infinite's squad. He wiped them all out. And Infinite is sitting there going, yeah, I will exact revenge. Shadow kicks the life out of him, and what was one of the more violent cutscenes, like he actually like kicks him in the chest, hits him against the wall. He looks down at him. He's like, pathetic. Don't show your face around me again. Teleports out. I'm like, this dude, I just gotta give him a round of applause. They still got a grip on what makes Shadow awesome, in my opinion. Like, even the voice, I think, was really good this time around. Like, out of all the modern Sonic voices, not really crazy about him. I kind of like Tails. Shadow's is actually good. And I feel like they got that just right here. So yeah, like Shadow was cool. And because Infinite felt weak, he starts to put on the mask, hide his face. He feels ugly. He feels weak. He grabs hold of this Phantom Ruby power. And we know the events that happen in now Sonic Forces. Even then, there's like a little bit of a gap afterwards where effectively Shadow was trapped in this virtual world. Again, this opportunity to really, I thought, mess with people's minds in the game and create like cool boss fights. But they don't. So I've talked enough about the story, way more than I actually thought I would. Let's talk about the gameplay. Oh my word, man. Oh, okay. So I get it. I 100,000% get it now. Playing all these Sonic games, again, Adventure 1, 2, Heroes, even Sonic PO6, right? Playing all these games, getting a feel for the series, understanding what makes things click. It's that 3D exploration, the intensity of it, finding your own shortcuts, a skill ceiling that's hard to reach, a level of speed that can be tough to control but is manageable. It's very hard to, I'd imagine, make a good Sonic game that has competent level design. but oh my word, I don't think I've played anything more on rails than this. I was wondering what people meant when they were saying, like, yeah, modern Sonic games all come down to bounce pads, homing attacks, and dash pads. I was like, I don't know why I don't remember that. This is all this game is. Everything. Even when you're going at max speed as your avatar, they have this sort of grapple gun. Every corner you turn, you may look at the gameplay and go like, oh, Matt's really tearing it up. Like, he's turning those corners just right. I am just holding the boost button, and the game is literally turning the corners for me. Like, they couldn't even take the time to do what, say, Sonic Generations did with the boost system, where you could, like, burn out. Like, you're driving a car and, like, burn around the corner, and if you're burning around it just right, that's where you'll hit the coins, hit the collectibles, and get the best pathway. But they don't even do that, let alone allowing you to have a ton of paths to go through levels. I was S-ranking everything, and I was just going forward. This is one of the most ridiculously easy, mind-numbingly bad gameplay experiences I have had. And if I had this knowledge and I had a review copy of this game, I would have tore it to shreds. How embarrassing Sonic Forces is as a Sonic game. It doesn't even come close in regards. Now, we can talk about feel all day. I think half of a Sonic game is feel. And I don't even think this you could dignify as feeling good. Because, again, you're just holding the boost button and running through everything. And if you're not holding the boost button because you're as the avatar, you're holding the right trigger and you're just mowing down everyone, again, running at full speed. And any type of homing attack reliance that's there is indicated by a huge heads-up display marker that just, again, is guiding you down a path. I feel like Sonic Forces was this kind of inflection point where we all learned this is a real kids game franchise now, because I could see a kid eating this up and being like, this is great. I love Sonic Forces. I remember, actually, I was at a GameStop years ago, and Sega was still selling Sonic Forces for like $50 or $60 brand new on Nintendo Switch. And I was there to pick something else up, and I was watching this kid coerce his mother into picking up Sonic Forces brand new. And I was sitting there just like, do I say something? Do I intervene? You know, because I don't know what that kid's up to now. Is he on the right path in life? I don't know. I really don't. But I probably should have stepped in and said something, because now that kid has not only lost his family tremendous amounts of money, he's lost tremendous time. I could have handed him Fallout 3 maybe and put him on the right path in life. But he got Sonic Forces for Switch. I hope the kid's doing well. That's all I can say. But, you know, I just remember seeing that and thinking to myself, what a travesty of a game this is. And it's amazing, I think, how well it's lived up to my mental dismay of this game can't be that good, right? And it well and truly isn't. Let's hit a positive note, though, and talk about what is great about Sonic Forces. And it seems to be a common thing with games from the Sonic franchise that fail. They have banger soundtracks. So Sonic 06, failure of a game, but oh, the soundtrack. Sonic Forces, wow, another great soundtrack. There's some bops in this where I'm like, this is going in the gym playlist. I need to hit the weights to this one. So yeah, they really, again, landed pretty well on a great soundtrack here. But I think I can only keep it positive for so long, because there's just so much, like, it's eating at me right now. I need to let out the venom. The boss fights, I just, like, again, I get it's probably made for kids, but fighting whatever the hell his name is, the red lizard dude, and he literally is just like dropping down a pin drop, and as long as you're just out of the way, you bounce up, and it just immediately focuses the camera, homing attack HUDs on him. You're like, okay, homing attack, homing attack, homing attack. When you're fighting Infinite, they couldn't even make levels for the boss fights. Like, it made Sonic Unleashed Eggman fight, where you're just constantly going around the loop, look modern. Like, back then on the 360, that was understandable going around that loop. But here on the PS4 and the Xbox One, the fact that we're still going around this loop over and over with Infinite until I can just get close to him, home and attack him, so on and so forth. Again, just embarrassing. It's a really embarrassing effort. It's missed potential on the story. It's way too short to explore its great ideas. I don't think it made use of its great narrative concepts and implemented them into the gameplay well. And what gameplay is there is very handholdy, very much go down this path and you don't got to turn, you can't deviate. You know, one of the things I really like about Sonic now is finding my own shortcuts through levels. As I get better at playing these games, it feels really good to actually, you know, like learn, okay, now that I've gone through this level, I know there's going to be like a rainbow ring there. I'm going to jump and dash through that, and suddenly I'm on the other side of a level that would take me an extra minute usually. That stuff feels good, and it's completely missing here from Sonic Forces. So yeah, this game is not great. And also, the idea of bringing back all the iconic villains could have been really cool. And again, I think this is just a tremendously missed opportunity across the board. They also overused that song to Sonic Heroes levels. You know how like everyone hears the theme, Sonic Heroes? That's always in your head when you're playing the game. It's just inescapable. Like, it's still burned in my memory. What's also burned in my memory from the Sonic franchise is the Together You Know What We Can Do, like that kind of rock song that plays when you and Sonic are teaming up. The first time it hits, you're like, that's a moment right there. That's a moment right there. Okay, I'll remember that. But then they use it constantly, over and over and over and over and over. I'm like, oh, God, man, you guys just can't help yourself. You can't help yourselves. So yeah, I gave Sonic Forces a second chance in 2022. Didn't like it. What should I give a second chance to next? Well, I guess that's for me to decide, because there are many games out there that I have not liked all that much. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I leave it in your hands. What do you think about Sonic Forces in 2022? Fire away. With that, I'll catch all of you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.